everybody, today's video we are going over 3 best ways to decompress the spine of the low back. My name is Dawn, this is Sebastian. We're Performance Place Sports Care in Costa Mesa, and we are the locally world famous chiropractors here.
Locally world famous.
Yes, nicely done. So we're gonna get right into, we're gonna explain how this can decompress different areas of the spine as we go through the exercises. So we'll be talking at you a little bit, a little education while you see the moves. You can follow along or just listen, it's up to you.
Yep. If you guys like this video too, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We have endless amounts of, I think Dawn said one time, exhausting amounts of videos on our channel. I think there's about 1,000 right now. So please use the search bar and find out which one you want. Okay, which one do you want to cover first?
Let's go with the decompressing the backside of the spine, posterior elements.
Okay, so we're going to do a frog breathing.
Cool.
All right. Would you, I'll be the model.
Okay.
You go over the demonstration.
All right, so ultimately there are different structures. I'll tell you in a second what they are, but Sebastian's gonna go into this, what we call frog breathing position. He's slowly sitting his butt back to his heels to make sure it feels good first. And then if this feels okay, elbows close to the knees, and then breathing deep into where he feels his thighs and belly meet here is what he's gonna be doing. So if he's doing it properly, you might see his back rise a little bit as he's breathing into his belly. So as he's here, I wanna kind of show you the structures that we're affecting here. So the model, this is the spine, the red area is the elements of the low back. This is back side of the body, and this is front side of the body. And so as Sebastian's in the position that he's in right now, we are flexing the spine forward just a little bit. You'll notice that we're taking pressure off of mainly the joints back here called the facet joints, okay? It opens up the holes where the nerves come out here, and it takes pressure off of these joints. So again, if I show you a little bit here, see how those holes open up? And we notice that those joints open up a little bit too. So we're just holding position, we're not forcing too much flexion, and it's decompressing backside structures here. So what's really cool about trying positions and exercises like what Sebastian's in is you can really learn a lot more about specifically what's going on with your spine by trying these things. So if you're in this position, you're like, my pain is getting worse. This is not the exercise for you. Those are the structures that probably aren't making your pain or aren't creating your pain. But if you are in this position and it's slowly diminishing, then you know that usually the joint or the nerves back there is probably the one that's the culprit and angry, gets to breathe in this position.
Good. I feel pretty good.
Nice.
Okay. So after you're done, you should generally feel better. If you don't, then Dawn is right. It's the wrong one for you. Good thing is we have a couple more that may work for you. But also, too, we have a webinar in the corner somewhere that's going to pop up, which covers the 3 basic types of back pain and how we typically resolve pain, at least associated with them, and what are some other steps you need to take, because these aren't the only steps to take. Even if this makes you feel better now, this is not the only thing you need to do.
Yeah. So what other structures are involved?
So why don't we go face down then? We're going to do a anterior element or front side element. So why don't you just, yeah, okay, we'll do that. Perfect.
Right here.
Yeah, lay in your belly, just like so. Okay, so Dawn demonstrated the posterior or backside elements that tend to become bothered and how you decompress them. And now we're going to lay this down on her spine, and you can see that the spine itself is kind of contouring to what Dawn's spine is doing. It actually is compressing the backside of the spine, but if it compresses the backside, what it's doing is we're opening up the front side. And basically, we're opening everything from the nerve root forward. Don't move right there, Dawn. I'm just going to slide up here to the camera to show them. Okay, so let's get this in view here. So the yellow is basically the dividing line between the posterior and anterior elements. And so we have the vertebral body, you have the disc right here, and actually technically you have ligament right there in the front as well. Now, when you extend the spine like so, everything on the front of the yellow line becomes a little bit decompressed. And so things like disc irritation typically feels a lot better with this, which is the main thing we end up treating with it. However, what comes with extension also comes with a little bit of a cost too. And if we work with Dawn's spine here, and right now she's in a kind of a benign position with it. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because some people who have had a lot of back pain in the past, they're not going to tolerate this quite too well, especially as they start to go up a little bit. And prop up on your elbows for me, Dawn. There you go. As she goes a lot higher, she compresses even more. Some people with spondylolisthesis or movement of the spine, this creates a little bit of a shearing effect on the joints of the spine if done too long. So the easier way to do it, at least go and line your forehead again. There you go. And so she can just hang out right here and get a little bit of assistance from breathing of the belly into the floor to help out with cushioning and not allowing so much shearing to occur. How do you feel in that position?
I like it.
Do you? I thought you hated this one.
You know what? Right now I'm liking it.
So usually Dawn's spine doesn't really tolerate this too much. All that soccer over the years, huh? What position did you play anyways?
I played center mid.
What's a center mid?
Center mid plays defense and offense.
Oh, okay. Now you know.
Oh, you know.
Okay, the last one we're going to do is more for neutral. Do you want to explain the neutral?
Cool. Yeah. So when people think decompression, a lot of times we might think like hanging upside down or going on one of those tables that can kind of flip you upside down, or just like hanging from some pull-up bars that'll kind of just like open up the spine or lengthen the spine. So instead of thinking directional preference like flexion or extension, we can think growing long. And so again, with this here, I don't even know if this guy will stretch, but you can kind of get an idea. If I pull down with this hand and up with the top hand, we're creating a little more space, and you'll notice instead of being extended or flexed, we're just finding a little bit more neutral. And so I'm going to put Sebastian into what we call a 90-90 position. I'll go ahead and use my leg here. And so everybody's a little bit different in their anatomy, but basically what I want you to explore at home is what position with your knees gives you a nice light contact with your low back and the floor. We don't want to force it too much, and we also don't want space between the floor and your low back. And so here you'll go hands on hips. The breathing component of this is actually super important. If you can get proper breathing here while in this position, it gives you that lengthening we were talking about. So he'll breathe deep into the pointer fingers in the front of the hips here, seeing if he can push his pointer fingers up to the ceiling with his breath. And for video's sake, if you got that, we'll move on to the second part, which is the thumbs on the side here. If we can push our thumbs wide with our breath, that's another component of just creating nice space in all of those elements of the spine that we were talking about.
Now, how come breathing is so important? What if what if I can't do it? This is really hard for me.
I would say if it's really hard for you, then this is definitely something that should be worked on, because if you can't really find it in this position, there's no way that you're doing it up in a seated position. If you're somebody who exercises, there's no way you're doing it properly when you're exercising either. So we're likely compressing too much on some of those structures we've been covering. So I'd work on this a little bit and seeing if we can progress it going further in rehab.
Yeah, this is kind of like the starting point of doing core rehab, right?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Which is really super important when it comes to low back, but also too the decompressive aspect of the breath. It helps to pucker the spine, if you will. So the spine has everything it needs to decompress, and you don't need a big machine for it.
Definitely. This is something we know how to do when we're born, right? Like, why teach you how to breathe? But as we go through injuries, as we go through adulthood, and as we go through all these things that life brings at us, we learn different compensating patterns. So if we can get back to this and that proper breathing and transfer it into rehab, you'll see a huge difference.
Yeah, essentially like the altered breathing pattern is kind of like a corrupt software that happens, just like a limp when you've stepped on a rock and you keep doing it and you just limp for a little while, even though it doesn't really hurt. And so we break a pattern like that and then challenge it through some exercises and activities that may have bothered you before, and you might be surprised. I know I've had people with some of their groin pain go away with just by creating pressure into here. You probably had people with back pain or sciatica that got better from that, right?
Yeah, there was somebody today actually that felt it was squatting. Take a breath in as you squat, went away.
What did they say after that?
Why does that work?
Why does that work?
It's always like this, you're a magician.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why it does work. And so we have references again in that webinar, which I think you guys should take advantage of. We've also covered this pretty much at length in a lot of the videos we have on our channel too. So subscribe to the channel, search whatever you would like. And if you want to work with us, we're in Costa Mesa, California, but we also do virtuals.
Virtual and in person, reach out to us.
You can coach breathing in a virtual, can't you?
Definitely.
Okay, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.